How to avoid airline baggage fees. Given the propensity for airlines to do their very best to part you from your money when traveling by air, it's hardly surprising that baggage has become more and more a target of additional costs beyond the ticket. If you're not so keen on paying extra to get your baggage from A to B, there are a few simple things you can do. Steps. 1. Understand the rules and conditions applicable to your ticket and your airline. Depending on where you're traveling, domestically or internationally, and with which airline you're traveling, you may be subject to fees for normal weight baggage. You'll only know this though if you check the ticketing conditions accompanying your booking. Rumors abound, so don't listen to them and do your own research to confirm the facts instead. While some airlines have made it a policy to charge for any checked in cargo baggage, some have not, while the rules for traveling internationally are somewhat different from those for traveling domestically, although short international flights are often treated as very similar to domestic flights. Read through the ticketing information and raise questions early, while you can still clarify how to prepare your baggage rather than finding out the worst possible when you arrive at the airport in time for the flight. 2. Expect fairly standard baggage limitations. Across most airlines, the following limitations are something to be expected. Most airlines charge for overweight baggage and for having more baggage than the maximum provided with your ticket. This has been a standard approach for years. The difference now is that the costs are considerably more. You will probably find that you have to pay a much higher rate for overweight, oversized, and additional baggage than for checking in two comparable-sized smaller suitcases. Some airlines will charge both penalties, overweight and oversize, if your single bag is both too heavy and too large. Heavy or oversized carry-on luggage may be charged for if it won't fit under the seat in front of you. Those responsible for filing you onto the plane are paying more attention to carry-on baggage than ever before, so be certain your carry-on stuff complies with the dimensions and weight required. Some airlines will only allow your baggage to go free of charge if it's carry-on. This is fairly standard with no frills budget flights now. However, most make it clear at the time of booking what the cost per cargo bag up to the maximum amount, usually 1 or 2, will be, and will even provide booking prompts to pay for this luggage. 3. Use your knowledge to prepare your baggage choices in advance. You have a number of choices when it comes to preparing your baggage, and each one has its pluses and minuses. Take only carry-on baggage. This is great if you're traveling for a short trip and traveling light. There are still some hitches though. The carry-on bag must conform to the airline's standard size and weight for carry-on baggage. Most airlines have a bag size container checker you can use, and many luggage stores have one too that you can avail yourself of if getting to the airport is too hard before the trip. Failing that, get out your measuring tape and follow the sizes given by the airline on its website. And the last hitch is the most obvious: this doesn't allow for much luggage. If you're only going to a tropical island with your bikini or trunks, your hat, and a good read, that's great. Ditto if it's just a short business trip with a few changes of underwear. For many other people though, this is a fairly restrictive way to travel by air, especially if you're lugging gifts, changes of clothes for a different climate, and various things you consider essential for use at the destination point. Take only the suitcase bag sizes allowed. Even with these, a number of airlines will charge you, but at least you know up front the cost you're up for. One drawback is not knowing the weight of your standard size bags. Some people are very good at packing lots of heavy stuff into standard size bags and then receiving a nasty shock on way in. The best advice here is to weigh your luggage before leaving for the airport. If some of your luggage doesn't meet the weight and size requirements, you can repack accordingly at home. A digital weighing device, luggage scale, can be purchased very cheaply from online stores which carry travel goods. It is handheld and clips onto the handle of your bag. You then lift the bag and the weight will show. Alternatively, stand on your scale and weigh yourself, then stand on them with your bags. Be sure your scale can handle the weight increase. Pack more than is allowed, but get quoted in advance for the additional items so that you know what costs are involved. If you're moving sporting, musical, scientific, camera, or other equipment, it is a good idea to talk to the airline first anyway to be reassured that they can inform you about their care of such items, as well as particular costs. Be aware that baggage that is considered to be too heavy won't make it onto the plane at all unless you've made prior arrangements. 4. Pack light and pack smart. Once you've decided to pack, keep it to a minimum. It's possible you think you need more baggage than you actually do. Many of us have a tendency to overpack. Avoid taking more necessities or clothes than you need, especially if you will have access to laundering facilities at your destination or friends and relatives who will be happy to loan you additional clothes, items, and gadgets. Let go. There is always something you really don't need to take. Rely on your wits, charm, ability to ask for help or to borrow something, and sense of adventure instead. You can live without it. Think of all the adventurers you've ever read about or seen in the movies who take off with the bare minimum and survive. It is possible, even if you have to rinse out your underwear every night and sleep naked. Avoid considering your destination as a fashion parade. Leave all those clothes you won't need behind. If you do need something glam at the last moment, buy something or borrow it from someone else. Think experience over accumulation. Take your camera to record the journey and take photos rather than buying lots of trinkets to cart around with you. Substitute, substitute, substitute. Take a smaller iPod instead of a larger one. Take an e-reader instead of several books. Take an outfit that looks great both day and night. Take a jacket instead of 2 sweaters, and so forth. Substituting becomes quite addictive the more you practice whittling down the contents of your packing. Read How to Pack for a Week in One Carry-On Bag and How to Pack Everything You Need in a Carry-On Bag for some more ideas. 5. Be charming and perhaps a little sneaky. Some of the advice about saving on baggage fees comes down to personality styles and what you're comfortable with. In particular, if you're the sort to charm your way through life, it's possible you can charm airline staff into letting you off a few extra pounds or kilos of weight just by dint of being polite, friendly, and conspiratorial and suggesting ever so sweetly that they forgive your ever so slightly heavier than usual bag. However, don't expect such charm to work on everyone. Equally, sneaking around trying to pretend your oversized backpack weighs no more than a feather just as you collapse under its weight at the boarding gate won't win you any favors. Just be careful when you use tactics that require endless faith in your ability to charm or deceive. While it's possible to get your own way, not many people are going to be on your side if your tactics fail to win over the airline staff or hold them up in line. 6. Consider overnight or longer term shipping. It's usually not worth overnight shipping for just one bag, but it may be so for 2 or more pieces of luggage. And longer term shipping is definitely worth it for the antiques or bulk discounted shop stock you've decided to buy on impulse. Shipping is a cost-efficient option in the long run. Many retailers are adept at sending their goods anywhere in the world and will be able to quote costs for packaging and shipping to your home address. The added benefit is that you don't need to worry about carting about what you've bought. Just be sure to get insurance over it though. Be aware that if you ship your bags to the hotel at your destination, you may be charged a holding fee to store your baggage until your arrival. 7. Show loyalty to the airlines you most frequently fly. Sign up for frequent flyer programs or company credit cards if you aren't participating already. The benefits provided can reduce baggage fees considerably, and many airlines don't charge baggage fees for high-level frequent flyers, or for those traveling in business or first class. Of course, it raises the question why you're trying to save on baggage costs if you can afford to travel business or first class, but there is a reason why wealthy people stay wealthy: they like to save on costs too. 8. Be prepared for a baggage whammy. Sometimes getting charged baggage fees will be unavoidable for one reason or another. It makes sense to set this aside as a contingency in your budget so that you're not left short for other things you really need while traveling. And accept it, you're not alone, it's no longer unusual, and complaining loudly while you're tired and transiting will only leave you feeling miserable. You can vote with your feet if you want, write to the CEO and grumble, and you can complain on your blog later, but just be ready sometimes for hiccups that cost money and don't let this spoil the whole trip. Tips. If you can, store non-essential carry-on items in the overhead compartments as soon as possible. Squishy carry-on bags are great because they can be shoved under the seat in front of you much more easily than rigid bags. Backpacks are excellent for holding a lot but fitting in easily. Cheaper luggage typically weighs less than more expensive brands. Nevertheless, higher quality luggage is more likely to be less tarnished upon arrival than lesser quality bags. Roll your clothes instead of folding them. This will allow you more space, and the clothes won't get wrinkled. Then you don't have to worry about taking something out because the bag's overweight. Recently, some hotel chains have introduced an incentive that they will reimburse your baggage fees for staying with them. Consider taking advantage of this offer if your trip requires an overnight stay or longer. Of course, worrying about this can complicate booking arrangements endlessly, so don't turn it into an exhausting search that has you staying miles away from where you actually want to be just for the sake of a few extra tens in the pocket. Calculate the taxicab fares after all. There are some carry-on exemptions that won't attract fees, including a child safety seat, a baby's diaper bag and food bag, strollers, wheelchairs, walkers, etc., but still check in advance. Warnings. If you ever encounter a problem with the way an airline handled your luggage, get the problem taken care of as soon as you realize an issue. The longer you wait, the less of a chance you have to be reimbursed. Don't be surprised by anything. Creative fees are abundant in the current economic climate, especially with increasing fuel prices. It doesn't mean you have to like or accept the fees demanded from you, but arguing with already stressed out airline and ticketing staff while you're tired and wanting to get somewhere isn't the most effective way to challenge increasing fees. Keep a record of what has happened to you in terms of paying fees, and when you're back at home, compose a letter with a chronology outlining your experience and a cogent explanation of why you dislike the fees and want them to be removed. You might even come up with alternative solutions. Just keep your calm during the traveling itself and leave the complaining for when it's more appropriate. That is, unless, of course, you intend to charm your way out of the fees. Things. Suitable baggage. Less than what you think you need. Half of the prior requirement again. Budget. Access to internet to research fees.